men and their families. It is a deep and personal tragedy.
Yonapod Kivanok. Hey everyone, I'm Pierre, and he is Nobu, and welcome to FrenchieTabooTalks, the channel where we dive headfirst into society's hottest, most controversial topics. Quick note, these talks are in English because it's the language most people understand today. For native English speakers, apologies for my frog accent, though let's be honest, it can't be worse than my current president. Listen, I'm not here representing any political party or agenda. This is just us, Nobu and I, sharing our thoughts, our experiences, and our completely unfiltered perspective with you. I believe in vivre avec son temps, living with our times. So this is my contribution to the ocean of digital content, but with a purpose, creating a space where we can actually have real conversation. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about being real, about digging into the stuff that matters, the uncomfortable truth, the question nobody wants to ask, the topics your regular podcast won't even touch with a wooden stick. Here, you can disagree with me. I can challenge you back, and we both walk away thinking. Because that's what's missing these days, spaces where we can agree to disagree and still have a conversation. Here's what I really believe. When we tackle these taboos together, when we stop avoiding the hard conversations, we actually create more connection, more understanding between people, not less. There's that old saying, divide and conquer, right? Well, through this artistic project, I want to do exactly the opposite. I want us to unite through honesty. That's my real why. That's what drives FrenchieTabooTalks. Honest conversation don't divide us, they bind us, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree. My mission is simple. Generate more love in this world through real dialogue. We've got one life, people. Let's live it fully. Let's learn to adore and endure each other. The binary trap, how we lost nuance. One thing has been bothering me for decades. Over the last 40 years, we've been programmed into binary thinking, black or white, good or evil, with us or against us. You question COVID vaccine efficiency? Boom, you're anti-vax extremist. You display your country's flag? Boom, you're a fascist nationalist, a Nazi. You believe in basic biology? Boom, you're transphobic. You want to preserve your culture? Boom, you are racist. These aren't arguments. They're conversation killers. With one label, we destroy any chance of understanding each other, of finding common ground, of staying human with each other. After all, we're not computers. Life isn't binary. It's not just ones or zeros. And you know what? I am tired of the gaslighting. So today, as a first topic, I'm tackling something I know very well, something that's been our reality for the last 29 years, almost. Immigration. And trust me, living and working in 5 different European countries, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, United Kingdom, and now Hungary, is an amazing adventure, but clearly it's a big challenge. Migration, humanity's superpower throughout history. Picture this. 70,000 years ago, our ancestors left Africa. That was the first great migration. And guess what? It built everything we see today. The Phoenicians spread trade across the Mediterranean. The Vikings explored new worlds. The Silk Road connected the East and West. migration has always been humanity's superpower. One proof? Between 1820 and 1914, 44 million Europeans moved to America. The result? American superpower status. Here's the fact that blows your mind. 40% of Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants. Tesla, Google, Yahoo, eBay, all immigrant success stories. Immigration isn't a problem, it's literally the story of human progress. Let me tell you my story, our story. I left France at 15 years old. First stop, Belgium, for lycée français, then business school. You know what I thought? Easy, it's just next door, right? Wrong. Even moving 400 kilometers north was a culture shock. Different sense of humor, sense of time, business rhythm, completely different. But here's my question, and I really want you to think about this. What makes a good immigrant versus a bad one? From my experience, and I've been one for nearly 3 decades, it comes down to 3 fundamental things. Now, here's the reality check. Perfection is rare. Not everyone masters all 3, and that's okay. But to be a good immigrant, you need to genuinely commit to at least 2 out of 3. That's the minimum threshold. That's why integration actually works, in my humble opinion. Number 1, you add value. You contribute something positive. Skills, innovation, culture, economy, something that makes the country better for having you there. In other words, you are a positive net contributor to the finances of the country. 2, you respect and interest yourself to the history. You don't try to change the country too much where you came from. You appreciate why things work the way they do. 3, you adapt. You learn as much as you can the language, understand their humor, and learn the unwritten rules. I've been living in Hungary for 4 years now, and let me tell you, Hungarian is kicking my ass. After 4 years, I can confidently order coffee and accidentally insult someone's grandmother. So yeah, Hungarian integration through language, definitely my toughest challenge yet. Look, I'm going to take a moment here to celebrate something beautiful. I've been incredibly lucky to live across Europe, and each place taught me something extraordinary about human civilization. Belgian humility and that incredible ability to find compromise. They literally hold 3 cultures together in one small country. Luxembourg's quiet, multilingual magic where people switch languages mid-sentence like it's nothing. Swiss precision that makes their trains arrive exactly on time every time, but also that deep respect for personal space and community rules. British politeness that somehow makes waiting in line feel civilized, and that dry humor that turns any disaster into comedy. And now, Hungary. This fierce pride in their unique language, their Tamil Basque culture, their refusal to be anyone but themselves. Last but not least, their unconditional love for doggos. The bottom line is simple. When we preserve what makes each culture unique, when we keep the magic of travel alive, we keep that sense of wonder when you cross a border, and everything, the food, the humor, the way people interact, feels completely different. Each of these places didn't just let me live there. They shaped who I am. Each tradition, each little cultural quirk, each way of solving life's problem. It's all brilliant human solutions refined over centuries. So when I see these treasures being diluted or abandoned to accommodate people who choose to move to these countries but refuse to appreciate what makes them special, it breaks my heart. This isn't about racism or xenophobia. This is about preserving sophisticated cultural ecosystem that took generations to develop and that actually make life better for everyone who participates in them. France's sole crisis when tolerance becomes cultural suicide. Here's what's really happening and nobody wants to admit it. When immigration is forced through political decisions rather than natural economic flow, that's when societies start tearing apart. It's like, imagine, you invite someone to dinner at your house. You're happy to share, right? But what if someone just walks in, rearranges your furniture, changes the TV channel, and tells you your food is offensive? Well, that's the difference between welcome guest and unwanted intrusion. Let me tell you about what's happening in my home country, France. I grew up celebrating Christmas, Easter, All Saints. These weren't just holidays. There were moments when families came together, when communities connected, when we remembered our ancestors. Indeed, France has Christian roots. If you have any doubt, take your car, cross France, and you'll see that in every village there's a church. Now, Christmas markets are being renamed winter markets in some cities. Schools are removing nativity scenes that have been there for decades. All Saints, our beautiful tradition of honoring the dead, might be called something different. Why? To avoid offending people who choose to come to a historically Christian country. The drive of such a change can be explained by one example. In 1965 in France, there were 5 mosques, now 2,800. Number will be growing forward. But here's what nobody talks about. These changes aren't coming from French citizens. They are imposed by politicians trying to accommodate people who immigrated to France but don't want to adapt to French culture. I believe Western Europe is losing its soul. We're watching the slow dissolution of civilization that took 1,500 years to build. Germany is questioning Oktoberfest traditions. Sweden is changing Christmas celebrations. England is removing crosses from some public buildings. Italy having a debate about church bells being too loud. The list goes on. This isn't progress. This is cultural suicide disguised as tolerance. The decision that cost 346 lives. The story I'm about to tell you isn't just history. It's a warning about what happens when politicians make decisions with other people's lives. Let me take you back to 2015 and show you how one woman's decision cost hundreds of innocent lives and why no one has ever been held accountable for it. The deadly decision. August 2015, Angela Merkel's Wir schaffen das, we can do it, opened Europe's door to 1.26 million asylum seekers. No consultation, no security measures, no screening plan. This wasn't humanitarian leadership. This was reckless gambling with European lives. The blood on the streets. Within months, the results were undeniable. November 2015, Paris, 130 dead, 416 wounded. March 2016, Brussels, 32 dead, 340 wounded. ISIS operatives using fake Syrian passports, exploiting the exact routes Merkel had legitimized. These weren't random acts. These were preventable massacres enabled by politicians who prioritized optics over security. And when the blood was fresh on Parisian streets, they claimed the attacks were unrelated to migration policy. They lied. The numbers they hide. Only 29% of those 1.26 million were actually Syrian. The majority came from countries with no war zones. And 95% of the attackers used forged Syrian passports. This wasn't a refugee crisis. It was mass migration deliberately mislabeled to avoid accountability. Greek island had 2 reception units handling thousands weekly. No identity checks, no screening, no coordination. Politicians knew the system was overwhelmed. They proceeded anyway. The real price. Between 2014 and 2024, 55 terrorist attacks by individuals exploited migration routes. 346 deaths, 1,547 injuries. Each victim had a name, a family. Each died because politicians prioritized their image over citizen security. Zero accountability. 10 years later, not one politician faced consequences. Merkel retired with honors, EU officials got promotions, but the victims' families, they haven't moved on. The 2015 crisis wasn't a natural disaster. It was a direct result of specific political decisions by known individuals who ignored warning, bypassed consultation, and refused accountability. Politicians make decisions. Citizens pay the price. Until we hold leaders accountable for results, not intentions, we'll keep seeing policies that sound compassionate but deliver tragedy. The 346 people who died deserve leaders who put their safety first. Good intentions without proper planning isn't heroic. It's criminally negligent. But here what nobody wants to remember except Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. The countries actually protecting their borders. So how does EU thank Hungary? In June 2024, 200 million fine plus 1 million every single day Hungary refuses forced immigration quotas. As of October 2025, 500 million euros and counting. The EU is literally stealing Hungarian taxpayer money to punish them for border control. Hungary says, we control our border. EU response, financial punishment growing by 1 million euro daily. This is extortion disguised as justice. Hungarians, listen up. Don't just elect someone who talks tough about migration. Demand they explain in detail how they resist EU fines when they hit 1 billion, and exactly how they'll defend you, our sovereignty. Because once Hungary goes the way of France, Belgium, UK, or Sweden, you name it, you don't come back from that transformation. Do you submit to Brussels' financial blackmail? Do you surrender your sovereignty to stop the bleeding? Or do you stand firm and say, our borders, our choice, no matter what it costs? This isn't just about Hungary anymore. It's about whether European nations still have the right to decide their own destiny, or if unelected bureaucrats in Brussels now control who lives in your neighborhood, who your children go to school with, who walks your streets at night. The clock is ticking. Every day costs another 1 million euro. But some things are worth more than money, like the right to remain Hungarian in Hungary. The integration reality check, why even privilege isn't enough. Now let me share something that might shock you. I graduated from Belgium's top business school. I speak perfect French, obviously, some German and Spanish, and I use English every day. I was privileged to receive an excellent education and had the opportunity to travel widely, which greatly broadened my intellectual horizon. I enjoyed nearly every advantage you can imagine. And it was still incredibly difficult to truly integrate in another country. The business culture is different. The way people interact is different. The humor is different. What is considered polite or rude is different. It took me 3 years to feel comfortable in Hungary. 3 years with every advantage imaginable. So what happens to immigrants who arrive with nothing, no language skills, no education, no money, no connections? What opportunities exist for someone who can't communicate, has no recognized qualifications, and doesn't understand the cultural codes? Well, sadly, the illegal economy becomes the obvious option. Drug dealing, theft, undocumented labor, benefit fraud, murder, rape. These become survival strategies. And then we act surprised when crime rates explode. Look at France. When PSG won the Champions League in 2024, a football match played in Germany, mind you. 2 people died and 559 were arrested in the celebration alone in France. A 17-year-old was stabbed to death at a street party. A man was killed by a car. Over 260 vehicles were torched. But here's what really breaks my heart. French teenagers are now being murdered for their cell phones. In January 2015, a 14-year-old boy named Elias was leaving a football practice in Paris when 2 teenagers demanded his phone. He refused. They stabbed him to death. The suspects, both already known to police for violent theft, both minors. And according to Paris police, 1/3 of all violent robberies in the Paris region are now committed by minors. This is what happens when integration fails completely. When entire communities are left behind with no legal path forward, violence becomes the currency of survival. And innocent kids pay the price. Let me share some numbers that mainstream media won't discuss. In France, people with migration background represent about 20% of the population, but 60% of prison inmates. In Sweden, areas with high immigration have crime rates 300% higher than native Swedish areas. In Germany, France, Belgium, certain cities have no-go zones where even police avoid patrolling. In the 2023-2024 reporting year, England and Wales recorded 67,928 rape offenses. That's 186 per day. This represents a 132% increase since 2015, and the 2024-25 figures even worse, 71,667, highest on record. These aren't racist statistics. These are official police recorded figures. The real number is slightly higher. The crime survey for England and Wales showed that fewer than 1 of 6 rape victims report to police. And here's the part that really makes my blood boil. This catastrophic policy doesn't just put our children at risk. It's bleeding France dry financially. The French government admits to spending 2.6 billion per year just on immigration, asylum, and integration program that all fails. Add another 1.39 billion for state medical aid, free healthcare for illegal immigrants, and 1.8 billion for fighting illegal immigration that we invited in the first place. That's 5.35 billion euro in official government spending every single year. But independent economists that say that the real cost is 53.9 billion annually. When you count housing subsidies, education, social benefits, emergency health care, and all the hidden costs politicians don't want you to see. 53.9 billion euro. You know what we could do with this 53.9 billion euro? We could double the budget for struggling students. We could save every single French farmer facing bankruptcy. We could rebuild our crumbling schools, hire thousands of teachers, modernize our hospitals. Instead, we're funding the accommodation, healthcare, and benefits of people who shouldn't even be there, while French families struggle to pay their electricity bills, and French farmers commit suicide because they can't make ends meet. Samuel Paty, Father Jacques Hamel, Lola Davier, Elias, 346 victims of terror attacks, and list goes on. Their families paid the ultimate price, but every French taxpayer is paying too, 53.9 billion euro a year for a policy that makes France poorer and less safe. This isn't compassion. This is madness. Last words to conclude. Voilà, mes amis. 29 years of immigration across 5 countries have taught me something powerful. Successful integration isn't just a nice idea. It's a contract that demands courage on both sides. The courage to adapt, the courage to learn, the courage to respect what you find, but also the courage to preserve what makes each place extraordinary. The courage to say no when necessary, the courage to protect what took generations to build. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about refusing the binary trap that's destroying our ability to think clearly. You can celebrate immigration as humanity's superpower and demand that it happens responsibly. You can welcome people with open arms and expect to respect your home. You can be compassionate and require accountability. Because when we abandon nuance, when we let politicians make reckless decisions without consequences, real people pay the price. 346 lives lost to preventable attacks, 53.9 billion euro that could have saved French farmers, educated French children, healed French patients. Samuel Paty, Father Jacques Hamel, Lola, raped and killed by an illegal immigrant. Elias, 14 years old, murdered for a cell phone. These aren't statistics. They are the cost of cowardice disguised as compassion. I started this channel with a simple mission: to generate more love through honest dialogue, to unite instead of divide, to prove that we can tackle the hard conversation and come out more connected, not less. Because at the end of the day, we all bleed the same blood. We all want safety for our children. We all want to preserve something beautiful for the next generation. We all deserve leaders who protect us instead of gambling with our lives. Thank you, Hungary, for hosting us these past 4 years. Your hospitality has changed our life. And yes, we're grateful to be both French immigrants here, mon obou. Because immigration itself is a beautiful thing when treated with the respect it deserves. The opportunity to build a new life, to contribute to a different culture, to expand who you are by embracing where you land, that's a gift we should never take for granted or diminish by allowing it to become chaotic and destructive. Your courage, Hungary, to protect your borders while EU punishes you daily, that's how you preserve the beauty of immigration, by making sure it stays intentional, respectful, and sustainable. That's the kind of leadership the rest of Europe forgot how to practice. Leave your thought in the comments, challenge me, disagree with us, but remember this: we can disagree without losing respect for one another. We can have the hard conversation without destroying each other. We can demand better from our leaders without hating each other. That's what makes us human. Not our ability to agree, but our ability to think, to question, to speak truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and to still see each other's humanity on the other side. We've got one life, people. Let's live it fully. Let's learn to adore and endure each other. Love you and leave you. Visant la tâche.